All right, what is going on, YouTubers and Facebook viewers? It is referee Rob Jackson back with another video. We are watching, actually reacting to No One Understands Shane, The Walking Dead. Now, this one I wanted to do, there are actually quite a few Shane Walking Dead videos that I've been wanting to do, mainly because Shane is a pivotal character in The Walking Dead, and a lot of people don't understand him. At first, when I watched The Walking Dead, I didn't understand him. I thought he was a piece of shit. And there are some parts of him that were. But the way that he treats the group, But the way that he has the survivor's mentality and the survivor's mindset and the survivor's, like, actions, Rick ends up becoming what Shane was. So, let's get right into it, y'all.
Jon Bernthal's portrayal of Shane Walsh in the TV adaptation of the Walking Dead comics is arguably one of the best alterations ever made to the source material. Both the writers and Bernthal managed to add layers of complexity and nuance to an otherwise simple one-note character. And we, as the audience, benefited immensely from this, as we were all treated to some peak television as a result. Even to this day, the character of Shane causes fans to engage in heated debates, and his impact, narratively speaking, can be felt as far as Rick's departure from the main series. But what if I told you that most fans don't actually fully understand the character of Shane Walsh? Most fans of the show either view Shane to be a selfish and immoral character,
Yeah, after watching,
to be what Rick Grimes would ultimately become in the future.
Exactly. After watching this, like, everything, like, cause I watched all The Walking Dead, before, like, the other seasons came out. This is before they put all the other seasons on Netflix, like the final seasons. So whatever they had these seasons up to on Netflix, that's where I watched Walking Dead. Then I went back and watched it, and I realized that Rick became more like Shane. And then when they put the final, like, I want to say 5-6 seasons on there, from the Last of the Savior's arc all the way to the Whisperers, and beyond that, well, from the Savior's arc to the Whisperers to the to the Commonwealth arc. Like, after watching all that, before watching those ones, I went back and watched it again because I was getting ready, because, like, I wanted to rewatch everything to get caught up with The Walking Dead. Now I have to watch the spinoffs, but when I watched it, I realized how much Rick became like Shane. Like, he had the same exact mentality of Shane. Like Shane was ahead of his time. He was a character ahead of his time in the show. And, like, I feel like there's a part of me that really wishes that Jon Bernthal stayed and we still had Shane in The Walking Dead, that he became like Shane and Shane were to see that. I really wish we still had that, so.
Thus leading these people to view Shane not as a villain, but as an anti-hero. Both camps of people tend to understand certain aspects of the character, but they don't often understand the character in his entirety. Allow me to explain by beginning with the claim that Shane is an anti-hero. An anti-hero is often defined as being a central but heroic character that lacks traditionally heroic character traits and morals. These characters are often morally gray and often more driven by selfish desires than altruistic motives. Now, perhaps this describes Shane earlier in the series, but by the end of Season 2, Shane is a certified villain. He wants to kill his best friend because he believes Lori and Carl to be his, because he cannot live without them being his, and because he believes Rick can't keep them safe. Instead of trying to be a safeguard for Rick's mistakes, instead of trying to help Rick to evolve as a leader, instead of accepting the wishes and desires of the woman he proclaims to love, he opts to kill his childhood best friend and brother from another mother just so he can bang Lori and have Carl call him daddy. Ladies and...
Yes, but no. Hold on one second. Alright, yeah, sorry. I was trying to see if I can actually enlarge the picture, the video in this. Yes, but no. He does believe that Lori and Carl are safer with him. He does believe that he can protect them. And to be honest, Shane was right. He could have protected them. And Lori was also giving off, like, she hated Shane, or she loved Shane because, they were together after, Shane had told her that Rick had died, because Shane went to the hospital, checked his pulse. Rick, according to Shane, was dead. Like, that's why, and we saw that Rick really was dead, according to Shane. Like from Shane's point of view, he didn't hear a pulse or anything like that. And then Lori says she hates Shane, then she wants him to stay, and then she doesn't. And then she's pregnant with his kid. Then she doesn't want to have it. Then she does, and it's just Lori was the main problem. I mean, Shane was a big problem, but Lori was the driving force that caused Shane to go into the madness that he went into. To be honest.
Gentlemen, this is not what an anti-hero would do. This is exactly what a villain would do. Shane, by the end of Season 2, was too far gone. Now, surely there is some nuance.
We can blame Lori, though.
But suffice it to say that Shane is unquestionably a villain, and no amount of canonical context will ever change that. Setting that aside, we can indeed label him as being a sympathetic villain, whose motives did make some sense and whose fall from grace was
because of
believable.
fucking Lori.
You see, the story of Shane Walsh really is a tragedy. One aspect of this tragedy that is often overlooked or entirely missed by the diehard Shane fans is that Shane wasn't actually made for the new world, despite being the fastest to adapt to it.
He was.
Shane understood what it would take to live in the proverbial wilderness outside of society or civilization, but he himself couldn't live through it because he lacked the proper mental state or constitution to do so. One could even argue
blame
that
Lori
this
for that
swift
shit.
adaptation to the new world was too fast, thus not allowing him the time to be mentally and emotionally prepared for the new world.
That is also true. However, I'm not saying I sympathize with Shane or I empathize with Shane, but I sympathize with him because he had Lori who was driving him on and off, leading him on, and then whatever. And Rick, his best friend, who was not seeing that. Well, Lori was pregnant with Shane's child. Lori leading him on and off constantly, and then Rick, who was not adapting and not seeing the clear danger that was the barn and all the walkers and Herschel and everything. And is it bad that I could say it? Like I can understand where Shane's coming from. And then when it comes to Randall, like Shane was right. They should have just killed him. They should have killed him because like if they dropped him off wherever or did whatever, like bro, like Shane was built for the new world. He adapted fast to it, yes, it may have been too fast, but Shane was the perfect leader. If they legit had listened to Shane, and if Shane became the leader, and if Rick followed suit and started to see and understand it, they both started to really cope or come together with it. They would have the governor, by the time the governor would have gotten to them, the governor would have been dead. Negan would have been dead. All the saviors would have been dead. Yeah, there's a whole rabbit hole with that. But continue.
He knew what had to be done, but he couldn't live with doing what needed to be done.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
It's funny enough that Adam Driver looks like Shane a little bit.
Otis, for example, fundamentally changed him in ways he never wanted to admit to anyone. The man felt immense guilt and buried that trauma by convincing himself that such a sacrifice was for the greater good, which
that is true.
Was. But that doesn't change the fact that he didn't want to sacrifice Otis. He didn't enjoy killing someone who didn't deserve to die.
And there ain't nothing easy about taking a man's life, no matter how little value it may have. But when you get it done, you have to forget it. I guess I haven't quite got that last part down, yes.
Damn.
But you're getting it.
Damn.
We needed Rick here to keep us safe.
Rick, I keep you safe.
Like you did with Otis?
Shane, yeah, oh my gosh.
This out when he tells Shane that he won't be able to live with killing him.
That life won't be worth a damn. I know you. You won't be able to live with this.
To no one's surprise, Shane, despite all the bluster, never really could kill his best friend despite having a massive advantage over him. Just like he wasn't able to finish off Sophia despite opening the barn initially. This inability to live in the new world, despite understanding it, is even confirmed by Robert Kirkman himself in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, where Kirkman states the following.
He is really just a scared individual trying to feel his way through this insane world. He's not handling it as well as Rick, who is a lot more centered and seemingly a lot more prepared. The fact that Rick can go from gunning those guys down in the bar at the end of the previous episode to being compassionate about the guy who was impaled on the spike shows that he really is more prepared for this new world. I feel like you should be feeling sorry for Shane more than anything.
At that point, when Rick and Shane were in the field, Rick could have left Shane alive. He could have, and I know you guys are going to say, oh, well, Shane was going to kill him anyways down the line, probably. No. In the show, Shane doing what he did was not right. But when he put the gun down, Rick and Shane could have talked about something. Rick could have addressed what happened with Otis. Shane could have gotten it out, and Rick could have helped him to understand and deal with that trauma. That's the problem. Rick could have helped Shane deal with that trauma, and then they realize it, but they won't have to tell Herschel. That's another plot hole. But thank you, Robert Kirkman. I do love the description that Robert Kirkman actually gives. That is 100% right, 100% perfect.
Despite what Shane claimed, Rick was better built for the new world. And while he may have been right about Rick's inability to ultimately keep Carl and Lori safe, something which is different in the comics, he absolutely failed to see that he himself would never be able to keep them safe as well. Lori died because of childbirth, which occurred at the worst time possible, something Rick nor Shane could ever control. And
I don't know,
Carl
man.
died because he took a risk. It is unrealistic to believe that.
Well, alright, so I'm going to actually have to backtrack a little bit.
Died because of childbirth, which occurred at the worst time possible.
So, even with the childbirth, here's the thing. The reason why that happened is because there were walkers let into the prison. And Maggie and Carl were left with Lori. Now, if the walkers weren't let into the prison, that was due to the governor. If I remember correctly, that was due to the governor's people. She still would have given birth. They still would have helped her out, and she would have survived. I guarantee she would have survived.
Something Rick nor Shane could ever control. And Carl died because he took a risk. It is unrealistic to believe that Rick or Shane could have been there to prevent Carl from taking risks.
That's a load of shit.
24/7.
But
Be that
it
as
is what
may,
it
I
is.
do want to point out some other facts.
Well,
about
Carl
this
might have died,
tragedy,
yeah.
Facts that are often overlooked by those who despise Shane. One reason Shane wanted to kill Rick, or rather felt the need to do so, is because he knew he was Judith's father. Rick even fucking admits this.
His name was Shane.
Yep.
Him and Lori, they were together. They thought I was dead. I know Judith isn't mine. I know it. I love her. She's my daughter. But she isn't mine.
The conversation between
I
Shane and Rick,
hate
where
that scene
Rick
because it
informs
hits me
Shane
so
of
hard.
Lori being pregnant, is where I firmly believe that Shane ultimately started down the path to villainy, the path of no return, where he would tragically become too far gone. And this
That is
reality
true.
was primarily the
I
fault
agree.
of Lori Grimes, who didn't grant Shane the right to at least father his own child.
I
Perhaps
agree with that,
Shane
too.
would have stayed sane if he had been allowed to be Judith's official guardian.
Agreed.
Thus giving
Oh
him
my
something to
gosh,
live
fucking
for that
agreed.
wasn't Lori or Carl. Remember, guys, Shane even admitted to Rick that it was Lori and Carl who saved him, that without them, without that need to feel needed, without that purpose, he would have died because he didn't want to live in this new world. They essentially saved his soul.
But I couldn't live with you. I couldn't live knowing. But I had to. I didn't keep Lori and Carl alive, man. They kept me alive.
We also mustn't forget the many ways Lori misled and emotionally harmed Shane, thus pushing him further off the edge of sanity.
Exactly.
I gotta tell you, do not think you should be taking this out on him.
You don't tell me what to do. You lost that privilege.
Lori, could you just wait up a sec? I think we should talk. You know, we haven't had a chance.
No,
I don't,
that's over too. You can tell that to the
I
front.
blame Lori for this shit.
I don't know how it appears to you.
How it
what you think.
appears to me. I'm sorry, is there a gray area here? Let me dispel it.
Yes.
You stay away from me. You stay away from my son. You don't look at him. You don't talk to him. From now on, my family is off limits to you.
I can understand why she thought that way, but
Boy, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that I deserve
Shut
it. I don't think that...
Don't. My husband is back. He is alive.
He's my best friend. Look how you think that I'm not happy about that.
How dare you? Why would you be? You are the one that told me that he died.
right here, right here.
Son of a bitch.
I think it is. What made you decide?
Gotta back away. Just trying to be the good guy here, Laura, even if you don't see it. None of this was intended. Hope you know that. Don't matter as long as I said it.
You're just gonna disappear. You're not even gonna tell Rick.
Exactly. Lori fucking contributed highly to that.
Nothing at all. You're his wife.
Carl, we dragged him into this.
I love Carl.
He thinks you hate
I'm
him.
trying to put some distance. I'm trying to make this easier. This ain't easy on any of us, least of all me. I'm the one who loses here.
He was just doing what she told him to do.
Stay.
And then she tells him to stay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is what I'm talking about, man.
Do you mean it?
What?
You said stay. Do you mean it? If you didn't, you just say so. You do it now? I need to know.
A minute. You've been abandoning a lost child. Really? My son and I are not your problem anymore. We're your excuse.
Exactly what I fucking mean.
Shane, I'm sorry. But even if it's yours, it's not gonna be yours. It's never gonna be yours. And there's nothing you can do to change it.
She reminds me of me. That's the problem. On and off, on and off, on and off.
Even though things
Not being able to separate boundaries and personal feelings.
confused between us, you were there for me. You were there for me. Thank you.
You don't need to thank me for that.
Of course I do. Of course I do. Whatever happened between us, whatever the hell we thought it was, and not just you, but I'm sorry, Shane. Please believe me, I am so sorry.
When communication breaks down, everything goes wrong. Proper communication does help in this scenario, especially.
Now, surely Shane is responsible for his actions at the end of the day, but what Lori did was no different than pouring gasoline on a fire started by an arsonist. She is somewhat guilty here as well. Now, while ultimately
Exactly.
being in the wrong, Shane was not entirely crazy for wanting Rick out of the picture. In his eyes, Rick destroyed the family that he had always wanted, destroyed
That
his
is-
literal purpose and meaning in life,
Unfortunately,
and then would go on
that
to
is true.
father his fucking child. Then add on to the fact that he believed Rick to be incompetent, which in his eyes meant that he would get the very people he loved killed, which by the way in Shane's eyes would be no different than being killed himself, then it becomes very understandable as to why Shane acted the way he did. No matter what you feel, Shane isn't entirely crazy, and we can indeed sympathize with his motives, however wrong or misguided they may be.
That is
That
true,
being said, many
unfortunately.
of Shane's detractors also incorrectly believe that he was immorally selfish. They view him to be a character that only cared about Lori and Carl, yet they fail to recognize that it is possible for Shane to care about others while simultaneously
Exactly!
prioritizing Lori. and
Exactly!
Carl.
He still
We
cared
all
about the
do it
group.
in real life, where we care about people while caring about others a bit more.
He cared mostly
I
about
certainly
Lori
care
and
about
Carl,
the
but he
well-being
still
of my
cared about the
coworkers.
group.
I care about the well-being of people I don't even fully know. Hell, I care about the well-being of all of you listening to this video right now.
Thank
But
you.
That doesn't
Thank
mean
you.
would
And I care
choose
about you too,
and
brother.
everyone else over those I love. And the same goes for almost everyone watching this. I'll even give you a clear example. Shane went out of his way to help Andrea. He taught her how to operate her firearm, how to clear a jam, and how to handle
Yep.
combat stress. And when he went too far, he apologized and then went out of his way to make amends with her. And in the end, Andrea was the one who made a move on him. Now, I'm sure some of you less intelligent viewers will argue that he played Andrea somehow just to get laid. But when he was presented with the opportunity to leave with her, he sort of laughed at the idea entirely.
As far away as I can, like you.
We're gonna sail off in the sunset together. We gotta hold hands.
I'm not asking you to go steady, Shane. I'm asking for a...
Truth be told, he helped Andrea because he did care for members of the group. And just
Exactly.
before he lost his mind, he was willing to go along with group decisions.
You in that bag like the bottom of an old lady's purse.
I hate that you're doing this, man. I think that it's foolish and reckless, but if you're gonna go, you're taking bullets.
I don't think it's a good idea, man.
Why not?
I'm not comfortable.
The truth is, less guns we have floating around can't be better.
He's not wrong.
But I'm trained, and it's use. That's what the rest of y'all need is proper training, but until that time, I think it's best that Dale keeps them all accounted for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't. We're doing this. I get it. He's passed out when y'all brought him back. Don't know where the farm is.
That isn't what I need to talk to you about.
Now, if all of that is not enough to convince you, just listen to what Robert fucking Kirkman himself said in the interview I quoted earlier.
A lot of people paint Shane to be this dastardly villain, but he's one of the most nuanced characters on the show. It's really a tragic story for him because he really is trying to do good every single time he does something that seems to be crazy and irrational.
Facts.
Setting that aside, Shane did understand the New World better than most at the onset of the apocalypse. He was right about not risking lives in Season 1, albeit he had no idea that the Atlanta group would be saved by the uber Chad that is Rick Grimes. He was also right about the odds of finding Sophia alive and how that only further risked the lives of the Atlanta group. He was unfortunately right to sacrifice Otis. He was definitely right about the barn. I believe him to be mostly right about Randall. Hell, Rick would end up being more and more like Shane as time progressed. This is
actually
often
worse
not
than Shane,
understood
yeah.
by those who hate Shane, despite how blatantly fucking obvious it is. Shane's survival instincts were top-notch, especially considering that the people in his universe didn't invent the concept of zombies prior to the outbreak of the wildfire virus.
That is
but
true.
Rick would ultimately become better than Shane, despite what Shane fans would argue.
He would become worse than Shane, then he would become better than Shane.
The ethics of survival weren't effective in the long run, especially if one truly aimed to build a sustainable future or society. And let's be real here, guys. Shane's insights weren't perfect either. After all, the man wanted to trek over 100 miles to Fort fucking Benning, a location that was confirmed to be overrun by Dave and Tony. Shane was also deeply impulsive in many ways, often allowing himself to be overcome by his emotions. This would eventually get him and the rest of the group killed if he was the official leader. And as previously mentioned,
would
he
also
was
be
dead
true.
wrong about Rick. Pun intended. As you can see, Shane as a character had many layers. Every controversial scene involving him always had deeper context and nuance associated with it. So much so that covering every scene would make this video a bit longer than I cared to edit and script. Heck, I'd even dare say he was better written than the fucking governor, which is why I personally view him to be a better villain. Regardless of that opinion, I think it is now clear that both sides of the Shane debate view the character in some way incorrectly. And to be honest with you, that's kind of shocking considering that his story ended like 12 fucking years ago. Anyways, that concludes this gold standard Walking Dead video. If you enjoy this sort of content, please like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, subscribe to his channel, Captain Gold, from what it says on there, from on here. Yeah, Captain Gold. This is my reaction to No One Understands Shane Walsh from The Walking Dead. This is actually a fantastic video. I'm going to do some more reaction videos to a lot of these types of videos. Probably I might just do a lot of Shane videos, or what if Shane survived and stuff like that. So thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family if it's appropriate, and if it's inappropriate, share with your friends and the entire internet. My name is Referee Rob Jackson. This is Chop Saw TV. Thank you for tuning into this. I wanted to do this reaction because this has been a long time coming for me, coming back to not only do gaming videos, but also I wanted to start doing reaction videos to a lot of this stuff. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye, everybody.